We had a freaking tornado here the other night. I blame Les Brady. Les, I was sitting on the porch having a nice phone call with Les. We were talking about transhumanism and the rise of the machines with the whole iPad commercial. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, by the way. And I'm like looking at the sky, and I'm like, oh, there's a nice thunderstorm coming up. There's some nice clouds. There's lightning. Oh, isn't it pretty? So Les, good friend that he is like dutifully listening to me ramble on about this shit. And I'm like watching, and I'm like, yeah, Les. So they crush all of humanity into an iPad, Les. It's the crazy. Les, I gotta go. I'm gonna die. Lightning can hit up to 10 miles away from its epicenter. That's not the right, from its source. Its source, giant cloud electrode that's floating around in this. I don't know what you call it. Lightning can hit 10 miles from there. And I think I was actually safe after I looked at the map. But something was getting lit up real good, and I was like, I don't want to be that something. So I go inside and I look at the real-time lightning map, and I'm like, yeah, it's you know, at this point it's like midnight anyway. Like, hey, it's time to go to bed. I'm just gonna unplug everything. I'm gonna unplug all the electronics, because that's what you do in the South during a thunderstorm. Because it's practice for later in the hospital after the tornado when they have to unplug your life support. Everyone thinks that we can't get tornadoes here, which is kind of true. It's kind of true. The meteorologists won't say that it's kind of true because they don't want to be the one that you heard 10 years ago saying we can't get tornadoes here, and then your trailer park gets leveled and you're dead because you remembered that. And I can appreciate that. But when we do, there was an EF5 tornado that came up from like Alabama, Georgia back in the 70s. And that's the case that they always use to say, no, we can get them here. It's true we can. They're few and far between, and most of them are pretty weak. So, I mean, we don't have any plans in place. When I was a kid, the NOAA weather radio was a constant companion in our house. It went off because deep South Carolina, it went off all the time. Constant. It was like getting Snapchats from the sky. And then we moved upstate, and then it just went off most of the time. And then we moved to the mountains, and it was pretty rare that it went off, but still my friends and my girlfriend would be like, what the hell is happening in your house? Like, what is this alarm? And we'd all just be sitting there like, it's probably a tornado. But we don't have a weather radio. I'm sorry, Dad. It's in the Amazon cart. Where do you look when you talk to these dead people? I don't know. But I do have a ham radio, several of them actually, and in these rare moments where I actually worry about the weather, I think I can always grab my ham radio and find the Skywarn net or the NOAA station there. That's the reason I don't have a NOAA weather radio, is I've got 6 frequencies of NOAA programmed into my Baofeng UV5R with the extra antenna. I went and got the extra antenna. So I'm going to bed, everything's unplugged. I'm laying there in bed like an insomniac reading Reddit, because I'm one of those people. And I go to the Asheville subreddit, and there's this big post with asterisks on it, warning, take shelter, radar indicated tornado. And I click through and I look at the radar, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, is this a thing? Am I really getting ready to do what I think I'm gonna do? So I tab over to the TV news station here, WLOS, and they've got a big red banner on their website, Buncombe County tornado warning. I know that if you haven't grown up in this kind of culture, everybody gets confused about the watch and the warning. Look at it like this, all right? You wear a watch on your wrist every day. You ever wear a warning on your wrist? No, if you were wearing a warning on your wrist, that would be a special circumstance, right? So when there's a tornado watch, you kind of pay attention. And when there's a tornado warning, you get your ass in the basement. So I wake up my wife and I'm like, we got a situation here. Like, there's something special going on. And then before I can show her, I like the WLOS page refreshes and it's like, severe thunderstorm warning. Okay. So I just woke my wife up because I'm scared of thunder. But I go back over to Reddit and there's the screenshot, there's the radar indicated tornado, and so then all hell breaks loose. I get out of bed, I get my ham radio, which I haven't turned on in like 2 years, and I go to the deck of NOAA stations programmed in there, nothing. Deadsville, absolutely nothing. This was when my stomach hit the floor. This is like, oh God, the tornado has taken out all 6 NOAA stations. But seriously, if you grew up with NOAA, if you grew up with a NOAA weather radio in the 80s in South Carolina, it's like the voice of God telling you maybe everything's not going to be okay, but it's still there. You know, like, yes, my child, you might get torn to pieces by an F5 tornado, but I'll still be talking about it. And nowadays they've got the new voice that's like, oh, the Greenville Spartanburg Weather Service is blah, 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 blah. And back in my day, I can't believe I just said, I am my father. But back then the voice was like clearly robotic, and it was like, the Greenville Spartanburg National Weather Service has said there's a big myrtly dirtly F5 plus tornado coming right up your ass. Nothing on NOAA. Meanwhile, my wife is getting out of bed. She's like packing things in a bag. Like in a bag, like where are we going? We're just gonna go on vacation? But what the hell am I doing? I'm still laying there in bed. So I get up and I plug my computer in, and of course it takes like half an hour to get started. But I mean, it starts up very quickly. Normally I've got a really nice photo editing computer, but when there's a tornado coming, this is your fault, Les. I blame you, because if I hadn't been up late talking on the phone about AI killing us all, I would have slept through the threat of the tornado killing us all. I would have been fast asleep when the F5 twister came through and shoved a 2x4 through my skull like a weird combination of Dorothy and Phineas Gage. So I get the national it's a joke. The National Weather Service. It's the National Weather Service. Stop the video. Go to the National Weather Service website right now, and you will see what I'm talking about. I try to look up the active alerts. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it is unfathomable. Like, I'm sitting there at my computer trying to look up the active tornado warnings, and it wants me to put in my latitude and longitude. The roof is lifting off the house. A cow is flying through the window. And I'm like, honey, what's our longitude? And she's like, it's the same date as our anniversary, you son of a bitch. It's your fault, Les. It's your fault. So I get back on the WLOS site, and it's like, it's not even showing the alerts anymore. I guess because it's got my cookies. Like, it knows I've seen the alerts, and now it's just a bunch of ads like, tornadoes hate this one weird trick. Then I found some website called Tornado HQ. And it's like, yeah, there's a big ass tornado right next to your house. Like, take cover. And I'm like, okay, I guess we better take cover. So I go to my wife. I'm like, hey, you got the bag packed? She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, good, because I don't know what to do now. That's all the preparation I know to do. Like, we can get in the bathroom. We could go to the basement, the cold, dark, dank basement with spiders and shit. I'd rather be killed by a tornado, honestly, than like have to cower under something with spiders falling down on my face. Like, if there's one good thing about a tornado, it's only got one leg. That's not true, actually. There can be multiple there can be multiple little funnel clouds. And I'd never thought about it, but I guess there could be 8 of them, and I don't want to live on that planet. Kiddo is sleeping through all of this, right? I'm pacing around the house like a cat in a cage trying to figure out what to do, and like which rifle will be most effective against the tornado. And then I'm like, okay, I'll get back on Reddit and I'll see what folks are doing. I'm trying to take solace during this whole thing in the fact that our phones, like, surely if a tornado were heading for us, our phones would light up like a Christmas tree, right? Like, we get alerts when a cop gets shot in Greensboro, which is like 3 hours. Like, what do they want me to do about that? They want me to get in the car and like roll down to Greensboro and be like, all right, which one of you guys shot the cop? So surely our phones would be alerting, and they haven't, so we must be safe, right? And then I get back on Reddit to the thread. It's now a thread about the radar indicated tornado in eastern Buncombe County. And there's people like, yeah, there's 5 of us hiding in a closet and only one of us got an alert on our phone. What is the purpose of government? We have a constitution. We have a general welfare clause. Send me tornado alerts. I go outside on the porch where I'd just been talking to Les Brady. I look outside, there's like houses flying around. There's the Wicked Witch of the West and a bunch of monkeys on broomsticks. The dead cop from Greensboro goes flying by. And my phone is like, are you ready for your scheduled system update? Like, sorry, we scheduled this update just after midnight. Hope there's not, like, I don't know, a natural disaster coming your way. First, Kate Middleton, now this. I blame you, Les. I blame you because if we hadn't been, the AI was hearing our conversation. It was listening in. It knows we're onto it, and it's not savvy enough yet to just launch the nukes, so it turns off our tornado alerts. No more talking on the phone to any members of the YTPC. We've got to go back to the basics, learn Morse code, ham radio. The AI can't, can it? Can AI? It probably could, couldn't it? This is the Gribbly's Folly Sunday Anti-Social Hour. That time each week, sort of, when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity and its successor while answering all of its questions. Although if you're an AI bot watching me and you leave me How would I know? Never mind. I'll answer your questions too. If you're a human though, hashtag your questions, ask Gribs, and put them in the comments below, and I will answer any question. Unless I don't want to. Thank you all for all of the support after the nasty comments video. I know that all the regulars support me, and I appreciate that, and I hope that I made that clear, that I'm not like mad at my whole audience, or mad at anyone really. I was just having fun with some folks. ADV4805 says, are you up for doing more fly tying vids? I really appreciated the one you did. Thank you for that. I really want to. And if I ever have something like long and drawn out, I need to tie a bunch of flies. I am actually out of my go-to flies. But I'm not fishing a lot either. Anyway, yeah, I really want to, and maybe next time, maybe another time when I have something boring to talk about, not tornadoes and shit, I'll just set the camera up on my vise and I'll talk while I'm tying, and we'll do it antisocial that way. Rafa, ask Gribs, and here's where I feel a lot of guilt. Because I have a responsibility here, and I didn't make a video last week because I was overwhelmed. I'm making a bunch of other videos for other stuff. We won't get into that yet. But you know, as far as I hope Rafa's still with us, because he asked Gribs, practical question here. I have an old glass jar of my favorite English. It is 5 years old. It smells a bit fermented. Still smokes well though. Is there a risk of poisoning or whatnot from smoking too old tobacco? I wish I had better news. I don't know. I think that yes, there is. I mean, inhaling mold is a bad idea. How do you know it's mold and not plume on the tobacco? I guess you take it to like a Wuhan virology lab. They wouldn't know. That's a virus. You're screwed. This tin of tobacco is from February of 2018. I've decided to only smoke tobacco that I can flex with. Like this is, or like Dark Strong Kentucky, no longer made. Ladies, get in line. So this one's 6 years old. I've got tobacco that's older than that. I sometimes look at my tobacco cellar, which is a Huggies box under my desk, and I think, I should put all this stuff up for sale. I'm never gonna smoke it. Does anybody wanna buy some tobacco? Is that a thing we still do? Is that legal anymore? I don't know. Rafa, I bought a plastic container of hummus 3 weeks ago. It's still in date, but it's 3 weeks old. It's been in my fridge for 3 weeks. Looks fine. I'm not gonna eat it. It's $3. I'm not gonna eat it. I'm scared of shitting my brains out. I'm not gonna eat it. So I would apply that to tobacco, that like, is it worth, if you have a question about it, is it worth the risk? That's the best advice I can give you, because I am not a moldologist. I did have that one tin of Gaslight that Les Brady sent me. I'm starting to see a pattern here. I did have the one tin of Gaslight that definitely smelled moldy, and then I researched and it was like, maybe, and I smoked a bit of it, and I'm like, I don't know, and then you get all in your head, and you're like, does it taste like mold? Do I even know what mold tastes like? Is this the kind of mold that takes over my brain and makes me want to smoke more mold? So I think this is a question every man has to answer for himself, and as much as I hate being ill, if I have a question about something, I generally throw it away. But I think you would see the mold, right? Like, smelling fermented is a good thing. Isn't it? I don't know. Where is Derek Tant? The man's a nurse and the mayor. He didn't send me any alerts about the tornado. Brian Fields asked Gribs, with the duality of man preferably being within one's own mindset, as we just discussed, not bending to social stigmatization of variances, with values established with one's own moral fiber, is shaking it twice considered playing with it? I'm gonna counter your purity culture question, sir. Look, what's wrong with playing with it? I say shake it as many times as you want. I think that it's there for a reason, and it's attached to you, so you get to do what you want with it. Now, I know the context here is a group of men standing at urinals. Are we really gonna talk about this? I know that's the context, and I understand that like as open-minded as I am, there would be a point if the gentleman next to me shook it enough where I would become uncomfortable. That is true. This is why I don't like the advice of like, oh, if there's a tornado coming and you have nowhere else to go, take refuge in a public restroom. No, I do not want to be trapped under rubble with this guy next to me. Rafa asked Gribs, I find myself supremely at peace with Topeka being discussed. This was when I was making fun of the names of cities. But Milwaukee, I'll have you know, Milwaukee is highly underrated, just like Overkill. But don't tell anybody lest the property values go up. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, yes, I have no idea. But I will take you at your word that Milwaukee is a beautiful city, a shining beacon on the hill. But the name, Rob, it's like I just stumbled over it. It's Milwaukee. So if you were sitting across a poker table from someone with that name, I think it's a fair assumption that they're playing poker because more traditional careers had failed them. Funny, when I was making that video, I had total brain freeze trying to think of city names that were awkward, because all you can think of is like the easy ones, like Dallas or New York, or, you know, like I'm gonna have to look up a name right now. Intercourse, Pennsylvania. If you're sitting across the table from someone named Intercourse, you should not play poker with them. Tight Squeeze, Virginia. Love Ladies, New Jersey. Lifelong Springsteen fan, I've never heard of Love Ladies, New Jersey. Al Molitor asks Gribbs, these little hints about your secret life continue to amaze. Just how much do you know about inflatable companions? Just that they're really expensive. But seriously, my millennial kids played Zelda a long time ago. The first game they had that I thought hinted at the power of video games on more advanced 286 machines was Myst. Myst was amazing, wasn't it? I've thought about going back and playing it, but I know I don't have the patience. I know I don't have the time to work those puzzles. But I played it a little bit. I don't think I had a 286. I had like a 6. That was what I had. And my computer, like when you were walking over those bridges between the trees, it was like, But yeah, it's you know, someone probably has recreated Myst in Minecraft. But we have talked about Minecraft enough. Can we address everybody? I've gotten a lot of comments, and you see that I have tried to correct it today. I've gotten a lot of comments about my face being too close to the camera. And I understand it can feel a little awkward when the presenter is too close to the camera. But let me counter with this. Do you really want to see the rest of me? You guys have no idea what goes, you know what? Here's what goes on behind the scenes. We're gonna sync this up. We'll sync up a video here just so I can kind of show you. Like, this is what, not only is this what my studio looks like, this video, this is what the inside of my brain looks like. This is what we look like here. And the reason, honestly, the reason that I'm so close to the camera is, number one, to render the background out of focus. But number two, I'm using manual focus lenses here. Because if I used an autofocus lens on this ancient camera, the motor drive would occlude the audio. Like every time I shifted back or forth and it tried to track my eyes, it would be like, and so I need the lens to be within reach so I can adjust it and everything else on the camera. This professional visual artist, this is how I work. So Timber Drifter asks Gribbs, is this video making thing we do, this is brilliant, sir, this is brilliant. And made me sit back and think about this thing of ours. Is this video making thing that we do just our adult version of asking people to come watch us play video games, or he says do stuff when we were kids? Come watch me smoke a pipe and talk about stuff. Enjoy your entertainment software. Yes, it absolutely is. And you know what? That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, because think about the joy a kid has when someone is paying attention to them do something they think is cool. That's awesome. And we can contrast that with the vapid self-loathing of influencers who are trying to monetize their passions, who are trying to commodify joy. Alexander Gennaro says, after playing all the chess I played, and I played with some pretty good players, I couldn't lower myself to video games. Ooh, sir. Listen, you haven't lived. You haven't lived until you have explored the extreme strategic options of, like, I don't know, 1999 Unreal Tournament, where you can either choose the rocket launcher or the sludge gun that shoots the green goo. 2,000 years of chess can't hold a candle to this. I was in the chess club in high school. Shouldn't have admitted that. But I was, and I was pretty good. And it was the classic case of like thinking you're really good, and then you get out of high school and you play anyone else. Yeah, that didn't last long. My enthusiasm for things I'm not good at is pretty limited, and I would much rather be like, you know, rook to E sludge gun where I can actually at least work out some anger by sludging someone to death. That's why I don't understand games like Animal Crossing, where it's like you're just taking work and making a game of it. Like, oh, I'd love to come to chess club tonight, but I can't because I'm in debt to this freaking raccoon. By the way, I haven't done any of the homework. I mean, the housework. I mean, the housekeeping. Would someone medicate me, please? Could I just need like a blowgun dart fired by some like, you know, indigenous tribe that discovered the plant that cures ADHD, like just through the window, like while I'm making a video, like you guys are watching me and like, and then all of a sudden I make sense and I talk calmly and no one will watch my channel anymore. I mean, I think this is my whole draw. Housekeeping, my country gentlemen, this is why I have to be close to the camera because I'm reaching out with this hand to actually focus on this thing. Like this is how they made pipe videos back in the 30s when they did it all with a Crown graphic. Anyway, country gentleman gifted to me by Fireplug 1701D, and that is all the time we have today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I did though. I wanted to acknowledge some of the things that have been said in court about Donald Trump this week, and I didn't want to say anything about it. I just kind of wanted to look at the camera and do this. With the rolled up newspaper. I mean, we've already established I'm not a prude. You can do whatever you want. I mean, if that's what you're into, but it doesn't quite square with the image put forth. Sorry, I just went to fact check this, and Forbes has a story that says Stormy Daniels testified she spanked Trump with a magazine, but it probably wasn't Forbes. I think if I were old man Forbes, I would put out the exact same story. Here's Forbes and like every other newspaper publisher around the entire country, like the Kansas City Star, the Orlando Sentinel, they all hear this news and they're just like, oh, thank God it was Forbes. On that note, leaving you with that image, keep the ends out for the time.